Dr. Jerome Corsi joins us till about 33 after or so. Then we're going to open the phones up specifically on what do you think Obama and Merkel and Hollande's endgame is, bringing in millions in the case of Europe, hundreds of thousands in the case of the U.S., that's the real number, of radicals, many of which do intend to engage in terror attacks. This is one of the craziest actions I've ever seen, but I had a big whistleblower on, a former Egyptian army colonel, author of On the Run, Ahmad Salim on. He's the guy that exposed and tried to stop the first World Trade Center attack. He stopped 5 other attacks, but the FBI was ordered to stand down. He was on saying he believes it'll be another false flag. This is Obama's false flag to bring these people in to then take our liberties. And now, folks know I like Donald Trump, and Dr. Jerome Corsi knows Donald Trump and has worked with him on a lot of big stories. But I tell you, Trump has come out and said surveillance state will combat Islam in a Yahoo News interview. The interview's up on Infowars.com. He says databases and special IDs will be issued. And he says, you know, folks aren't going to like giving up their rights, but basically you have to. No, you don't let them bring the refugees in. You go after people with profiling for what they've committed or who they're affiliated with. You don't go after the entire public. That is not the answer. In fact, I've had former head of technical from the NSA in the studio. And he said more data swamps everything. They need targeted. But see, that doesn't let them spend tens of billions a year on no-bid contracts. There's another article out today about this from RT USA. Leaked NSA doc reveals sheer luck needed to find useful info in sea of surveillance data. Well, I have that from Thomas Drake, William Benny, you name it. Now, of course, Dr. Jerome Corsi is WorldNetDaily.com, WND.com writer. He's a PhD from Harvard University in political science. He's also an economist and worked for some of the biggest banks out there. He's worked as a consultant in terrorism and secretive operations for the State Department. And, of course, he's the guy that ran the Swift boating operation, which was accurate. I commend him. I don't even like George Bush. It's just John Kerry is who they say John Kerry was, total fraud. And he's also written many other best-selling books, #1 New York Times best-selling books, JeromeCorsi.com. So, Dr. Corsi, this is even getting too crazy for me to believe. I've had reporters in France all week. We see attacks in the U.S. like at Fort Hood and the Army, Navy, Marine Corps recruiting centers not being called terror. The Garland attack not being called terror. And as best I can tell from talking to you, talking to Ahmad Salim and many others, Obama's gotten in over his head. He's been blackmailed through Benghazi, probably blackmailed by the Saudis, by the Turks, and by the Muslim Brotherhood. He's in deep with them, and now it's gone to the level of they basically have a compromised, controlled president. Whether he's a sleeper cell radical Muslim or not, he might as well be one now. And this is like a science fiction movie. I can't even believe we're in this much peril. And every angle I look at, the analysis only goes from bad to worse. In your expert analysis and what you know, what is really going on right now? Because this is insane.
Well, I mean, clearly Obama is beginning to embarrass himself with his cavalier attitude. When I wrote Abomination, I pointed out that Obama was raised a Muslim in Indonesia. He's never renounced that. Obama, I think, has given every indication that his sympathies continue to be with Islam, and he's making that clear again. Now, the idea of flooding the United States with refugees as if that somehow excuses, and this is a small number of the people who have been displaced in Syria, when Obama and Hillary Clinton were responsible for destabilizing the Middle East, including destabilizing and destroying what's left of Syria. And suddenly Obama wants to play this guilt trip that we've got to take in Syrian refugees. It's ridiculous. The American people aren't going to stand for it because the risk is apparent. You've got organized ISIS terrorists who are clearly capable of crossing borders, communicating across borders, using encrypted technology, getting into the United States.
Launching simultaneous attacks.
And coordinated in efforts that they persist in. When they are thwarted with one attack, they plan another. And not deterred even by law enforcement. In fact, law enforcement's going to find it very hard in Europe to get down to trace all the potential terrorists. People are traveling freely between Europe and Syria, participating with ISIS, going back to Europe, the crossing the border with Mexico. And Obama's basically is showing dereliction of duty. He's not defending the people of the United States, and he shows no enthusiasm for supporting the people of the United States, which is his primary constitutional obligation.
A lot of experts say he's mentally ill and has lost grip on reality. I mean, I think that's even more frightening than if he's just a pure traitor. I mean, what is he thinking? He's committing political suicide in front of everyone. I mean, we know we're going to get hit by more terrorists now. It's already happened. He just can't have the media label it as non-Islamic now, Dr. Corsi.
Well, Obama's getting indefensible. I mean, he says, you know, the day before we get the Paris attacks that ISIS is contained. He ridicules the GOP for orphans and widows, and then a woman terrorist bomber blows herself up in Paris. You know, you've got clearly a president that's out of touch with reality. And as I said, when I wrote The Abomination, Obama he starts with a hatred of America. He's a socialist. He was trained by Frank Marshall Davis as a communist. Obama was trained also in a Saul Alinsky organization. He wants a radical revolution. He wants to weaken the United States. When I wrote Abomination, I predicted that we would have more racial strife in the United States, a weakened America internationally. We would have terrorism on the increase, all of which has come true. And Obama, as far as I'm concerned, is carrying out the agenda he was elected saying he would carry out.
But in his crazy leftist red diaper doper baby world, he really thinks radical socialism and collectivism can ally with radical Islam. And I know historically it has allied, but I don't get how you get feminists lecturing Western men who are the most loving to women out there, undoubtedly, how they hate us, but then they love people that would sexually mutilate them, not let them drive cars and put bags on their heads. I just don't get what sick freaks these Gloria Steinem people are.
Well, it's bizarre. I mean, the idea that the left would embrace Islam, it's only because, you know, whoever hates my enemy is my friend, and the left hates America. Radical left hates America, right? Obama, Ayers, the whole group of the radical left, and that's who's taken over the Democratic Party.
You know, I used to always hear they hate America, but they really do.
They really do.
I mean, they really do. It's like mentally ill children that hate their parents. It's like spoiled, rotten brats that you hear that, you know, kill their parents. This is the exact same type of crap.
Well, it comes down to a self-hatred. It comes down to fundamental psychological problems, and I'm not a psychiatrist, but they hate America. They blame America. They won't credit America with any of the good things America has done in the world. And as a result, feminists, as you point out, who should loathe Islam for its treatment of women, basically one of the worst religions in the world, if you want to call it a religion. And I mean, you know, the way radical Islam is practiced is an ideology, but beating women.
Radical Islam is the enslavement of women.
Yes, it is. There's no question about it. Radical Islam has no regard for Islam. The desired sexual creature in radical Islam is not a woman. That's been the reality for anybody who knows anything about the Middle East. And this is radical Islam. These are the extremists. These are the ones who want Sharia law. But
they're the ones that are willing to blow themselves up. And am I right in saying that geopolitically they're gaining ground? They're becoming dominant Islam?
Well, they are becoming the force of Islam, the vocal force. As I've said, Islam needs to go through a reformation, but the voices and forces that should be speaking out condemning Islam right now are silent. This is the problem. Islam needs to have a reformation, and there's no voices in Islam speaking up for that reformation. And if we have the radical jihadis hijack the religion and take it over, you know, we're going right back to Charles Martel and the Battle of Tours, because the Europeans have already once decided that there was nothing they could do with Islam except kill them all and throw them out. And if Islam wants to go down that path, with the jihadists, it's going to come to the same conclusion.
I was about to say, these young radical jihadists that think they're killing a bunch of liberal French and people, if they think that's the real resolve, the veneer of civilization will peel off Europe and the United States very, very quickly, and then it's going to get really, really nasty. They shouldn't take the weakness of a bunch of liberal college kids for the rest of us.
Well, in fact, of course, Europe is not the spoiled children in colleges today who want Woodrow Wilson removed from Princeton because they think he was a racist. I mean, this insanity, these spoiled kids, I don't know how any of them are going to get jobs or how any of them are going to be employable. But at any rate, the idea that Europe is now, this attack in Paris has done more to destroy the European Union in one event than I could have imagined possible. And the European Union needs to be destroyed. This whole idea of eliminating countries and one world government. It's also ironic these terrorists are in Brussels, which is the home of one world government.
It's the center.
It's where the EU, the nameless.
My reporters were there yesterday, tried to go in restaurants, tried to walk, and were just screamed at and run out 3 times.
Well, the European Union is going to quickly change because when people are this, if you can't go to a restaurant, you can't go to a concert, you can't go to a mall. Innocent victims are being slaughtered, and this was slaughter. This was no noble attack. This was cowardly slaughter in no gun zones, which they knew were free of anybody in the terrorists being opposed when they were doing their merciless attacks.
Dr. Corsi, we got to go to break. WND.com. Jerome Corsi's our guest. When we come back, I'm going to ask him, how much more dangerous will Obama get? Here's the headline on Drudge. Limbaugh, Obama has become dangerous. And I think it's what everybody gets now, that, wow, he really is out to get us. The nightly news tonight will be 7 o'clock Central. Coming up in about 35 minutes, Anthony Gucciardi takes over in the 4th hour. He's got a big lineup of news for you as we've added that 4th hour. Dr. Corsi is our guest. The toll-free number to join us when we come back in the next segment after Dr. Corsi leaves us is 800-259-9231. How dangerous do you think Obama has become? I think he was always dangerous, but now I really do see that he's moving even faster than I thought possible. 800-259-9231. House bill to bar Syrian refugees from U.S. without more vetting just passed the House. It's probably believed to be set to pass the Senate. It passed 289 to 137 by wide margin. It's politically popular. Obama says that he'll just veto it. Well, what happens when there's a terror attack? Then he's directly responsible. This is unprecedented. Dr. Corsi, he's got to be blackmailed. There's no reason for him to be doing this politically. The optics are so bad.
Well, I continue to say and have always said that Obama's sympathies are Muslim. I've written extensively about it. I think Obama has always worn this ring, which has the Shahada on it. I still believe that's the case. I know the White House tried to alter the ring, but Obama was wearing this wedding ring, which has got from Indonesia with, looks to me, Muslim inscriptions on it, since he was in college, long before he was married. Even at Harvard Law School, they do a joke law review issue every year. They were mocking Obama about this Muslim ring that he wouldn't explain why he was wearing it. Obama, I think, sympathies have been Islam, and he's telegraphed it any number of ways. I don't know what he may, for all I know, he may be an atheist at heart, but the point is he was raised a Muslim. He's never renounced the religion, and I think he wants to expand, the chaos in the Middle East for his own goals of reducing the power and influence of the United States and his leftist agenda of revolutionary transformation of the United States.
Well, let me ask this question. What you wrote about 7, 8 years ago about Obama has all come true, so we'll give you that again. You've been right, Doctor. But how are the elites allowing this? I know there's not one elite, but there are different elites who've become very powerful off of American prowess. Why would they be allowing this to happen? Is it just it's so fun to be politically correct that they think this is cute?
I think you're seeing in Europe the beginning of the end of the political correctness, at least a correction in it. In Europe, as I say, that this one attack has done more to bring the EU to an end than I thought possible. I think the EU is seeing a swing of the pendulum over to more conservative parties that want security, that want to eliminate this multicultural nonsense, this multicultural nightmare that Europe has become, the loss of identity. I mean, Europe is becoming a Muslim nation, and what they don't understand is that Islam reaches a critical